In the turbulent world of international diplomacy, perception often becomes reality. And in recent years, few leaders have been more invested in shaping their public image than Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi and former US President Donald Trump. But behind the optics lies a more unsettling truth. Donald Trump, in his sharpest transactional instincts, has found in Narendra Modi not a strategic partner, but a convenient pressure point, and he has returned again and again to press it. The first signal: shackled deportations and silence. When Indian nationals were deported from the US in shackles, humiliated and treated like criminals, the world waited for India's response. Modi's silence was deafening. Unlike Colombia, whose president protested vehemently and sent a presidential plane to bring its citizens home, India did nothing more than issue procedural murmurs. Trump noticed. He had tested the boundaries of Indian self-respect and found them alarmingly flexible. It was the beginning of a pattern. Testing, pressuring, dominating. Since that first episode, Trump has played Modi like a chess piece, applying pressure, watching the reaction, and adjusting the strategy accordingly. Whether it was his boastful and false claim that Modi asked him to mediate the Kashmir conflict, which India flatly denied, or his public rebuke over Indian tariffs, Trump seemed to thrive on publicly embarrassing Modi. The goal? Leverage. Pure American leverage. Post-Pulwama, a weakened Modi and a calculating Trump. After India's brief air skirmish with Pakistan in 2019, which saw the loss of several Indian jets and minimal diplomatic support from major Western allies, India's global image took a hit. What should have been India's moment of diplomatic triumph turned into an episode of awkward isolation. Trump seized the moment. He understood Modi's desperate need for international validation and his vulnerability in its absence. Economic rise, global defiance. India's economic growth has emboldened its global aspirations. No longer content being a junior partner, it's charting its own foreign policy, buying oil from Russia, defying dollar-centric trade norms, and resisting Western alignment. To Trump, who views global order through a transactional lens, this behavior was not independence, but insubordination. Assassinations and the rogue state label. India's alleged involvement in overseas assassinations of separatist figures in Canada and the US triggered an international outcry. While no smoking gun was officially presented, the message was clear. India was acting unilaterally, even on Western soil. In Trump's worldview, such behavior, if not coming from a sanctioned ally like Israel, amounts to rogue behavior, and rogues are dealt with, not partnered with. The hypocrisy of patriotism versus nationalism. America has always lauded its citizens for fierce patriotism, but when countries like India, with vast human capital and potential, show similar pride and ambition, it is rebranded as dangerous nationalism. Trump, no-nonsense leader who doesn't bow to foreign powers, but the events of the last few years have chipped away at that persona. His inability or unwillingness to push back against Trump's provocations has created a visible contradiction. A strong man at home, a submissive partner abroad. The gap between image and action has never been wider. Trump's perfect storm. An isolated India, a cornered leader. Trump, whether in or out of office, understands the optics of strength. He sees Modi not as a peer, but as a leader facing isolation, diplomatic strain with Canada and the UK, economic entanglements with Russia, and rising domestic political pressure. In such a moment, Trump believes he can extract more. More trade concessions, more military purchases, more compliance. And perhaps he's right. Conclusion: the dangerous dance of ego and empire. This is more than a geopolitical spat. It is the unfolding of a strategic humiliation. Trump has, with calculated consistency, found ways to embarrass and pressure Modi. Testing many Western leaders before him would rather see India embrace a globalist identity, one more amenable to outsourcing, market access, and talent exploitation, than a self-assured, independent nationalism that resists Western direction. Apple, oil, and obedience. Trump's calls for Apple to move its factories out of India and his threats of sanctions over India's Russian oil imports are not isolated incidents. They are coordinated pressure points signaling that any divergence from the US-led world order will be met with economic pain. India's strategic autonomy is being subtly penalized. Pakistan, the blunt instrument of pressure. Trump has never hesitated to use Pakistan as a counterweight to India. By praising Pakistan's help in Afghanistan or elevating its role in regional diplomacy, he sends a clear message: play ball or watch your backyard burn. In a worst-case scenario, Trump could tacitly greenlight proxy conflicts to remind India of its geopolitical fragility. Modi's dented image, from strongman to spectator, Modi built his career as not just his policies, but his pride. And so far, Modi has responded with restraint or silence. The irony is bitter. The leader who promised to restore Indian dignity on the world stage may be presiding over one of its most compromised moments. The world is watching, and so is Trump, ready to strike the next deal, twist the next arm, and bend the next strongman to his will.